Hi, and now it's time to look into another file from the Did I Miss Something department. And the focus of this file is on presidential nominee or presidential hopeful, former Vice President Joe Biden.
If elected, my view is that we'll have to address these issues straight on. And the words the president says matter. So when a president stands up and divides people all the time, you're going to get the worst of us to come out, the worst in us all to come out. This president constantly talks about equality without lecturing, talks about and has administration that looks like the country and the rest. It changes attitudes. And it's about the attitude of the country. Do we want our kids, do we really think this is as good as we can be as a nation? I don't think the vast majority of people think that. There are probably anywhere from 10 to 15% of the people out there that are just not very good people. But that's not who we are. If elected, my view is that we'll have to address these issues straight on. And the words the president says matter. So when a president stands up and divides people all the time, you're going to get the worst of us to come out as a nation. I don't think the vast majority of people think that. There are probably anywhere from 10 to 15% of the people out there that are just not very good people. And the words the president says matter. So when a president stands up and divides people all the time, you're going to get the worst of us to come out as a nation. I don't think the vast majority of people think that. There are probably anywhere from 10 to 15% of the people out there that are just not very good people. So when a president stands up and divides people all the time, you're going to get the worst of us to come out. There are probably anywhere from 10 to 15% of the people out there that are just not very good people.
So, Biden criticizes President Trump for dividing people, and yet here he is dividing people from the good people from the not very good people. Now, he's going back to another place in time, okay, that he and others like him are keeping this phony narrative alive about what happened a few years ago. So let's take a look at what President Trump actually said.
Moral plane. What I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. But there is another side. There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is.
It's on both sides, too. You said there was hatred, there was violence on both sides.
Well, I do think there's blame. Yes, I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either. And if you reported it accurately, you would say.
Kill the person. Heather hired
Charlottesville. They showed up in Charlottesville to protest.
Excuse me, they didn't put themselves down as you, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue.
Okay. Now, was he dividing this country? Was he talking about Americans as a whole? No. He was talking about a single incident, about a small percentage of the entire American population. Now, Mr. Biden, put it in context, please. You and Juan Williams are a disaster. Okay? And to refer to what I'm talking about, let's listen to what Juan Williams on the fly said about this thing.
Last night.
My highest duty, as you know, as president, is to keep America safe. Any acts or threats of political violence are an attack on our democracy itself. We want all sides to come together in peace and harmony. The media also has a responsibility to set a civil tone and to stop the endless hostility and constant negative and oftentimes false attacks and stories.
All right, we'll take it around the table. Pam, could we start with you? Just Trace Gallagher saying that we can confirm now that they're honing in on Florida as a possible place where these packages were sent from. What can you tell us?
Well, without details specifically to Florida, as a career prosecutor, I've seen so many of these cases with suspicious packages, and there is a wealth of information, Dana, in these packages you wouldn't believe. I mean, even the duct tape. I've had a murder case. We got to print off a duct tape. Stamps that you used to lick. Now we have touch DNA. So if they even touched the stamp, we could get DNA off the stamp. As to the post office, we can even get the origin as to where it came. And I think they're working on all that. Was it well planned? Yes and no. Yes, in that they all went out simultaneously. However, no, in that, names were spelled wrong. Some of the addresses we know were wrong and got returned to sender.
Do you think that could have been on purpose, though?
Maybe. But I know that they know a lot more than we know. And that's how it should be right now. And I really have no doubt that they will catch this person, and very fast. I saw the president yesterday at the White House, and he was so somber. You saw him at the he was so somber. And very seriously, everyone's taking this, and FBI's all over it.
Greg, let me go to you then. The ongoing conversation. You saw any of the activity this morning down there?
Yeah, well, I don't know what time it was, but I'm a few blocks from there, so I woke up to the helicopters that were, I guess, above me for at least a few hours.
Wow.
And I got up and I told my wife, I go, something's happening. It's definitely downtown, and then it went on for like a couple of hours, and found out it was at his restaurant.
What did you think of the conversation today that was inevitable about President Trump, his tone, him saying that the media needs to watch its tone?
Well, it is. With all of these things, you're going to get finger pointing. And I think the thing is, everybody can point their fingers depending on what group you belong to. And so it's natural. It's hard for me to take advice from the media over heated rhetoric, because if you were to subtract the heated rhetoric of Trump, let's say the caustic behavior, the jokes about sleepy eyes and lock him up, if you took that all away, right, like Trump didn't even exist, you would still have speakers on campus being harassed. You'd still have Antifa chasing down people on streets. You'd still have politicians inciting face-to-face harassment. You'd have Kathy Griffin, Johnny Depp, Madonna. They did all their stuff early on before a lot of this stuff. You have Mika obsessing over the 25th Amendment. So it's all, and you have weird, at times, people defending Antifa. So essentially, you've had 2 years of questioning Trump's sanity, calling him Hitler. And you're upset because he made a joke about a body slam. It doesn't work for me.
It does. I think that the left feels differently. Juan, I don't know if you've heard from anyone today.
Yeah, I think the left feels like, it's sort of difficult moment for all of us. It's a very divided country right now, and I think it's kind of sad that we have reached this point. But I think people on the left are kind of taken aback that the president last night seemed to be more presidential and saying, you know what, we need to unify, we need to come together, you can't attack political opponents. And then this morning, he shifts again, as you were suggesting to Greg, and says, hey, the mainstream media needs to clean up its act in terms of setting the tone. The response has been pretty clear from Jeff Zucker at CNN, the head.
Okay. He did not shift tone. Okay, he did not shift tone. What he did was, he said that the media has a responsibility to stop what they're doing. That is it. It is a plan of action. It is not a change of tone. Okay, he was being very specific about the media and their part in what's going on. So Juan is incorrect.
CNN and others saying that the tone is really set by the politician, by the president. And this is a president who has talked about, Second Amendment people taking care of Hillary and body slamming reporters, the press is the enemy. I can go on. I mean, everybody knows this litany, even down to Charlottesville, with fine people on both sides. So I think that...
Juan, you missed something. There's more to that quote. Nobody can shut you up, but I'm going to shut you up. There is more to that quote, Juan. There's more to that quote. Let's replay this quote from Juan that is half of the quote.
The press is the enemy. I can go on. I mean, everybody knows this litany, even down to Charlottesville, with fine people on both sides. So I think that there...
What happened to the rest of that quote, Juan? You forgot the rest of that quote. Okay, Juan, I'm going to refresh your memory.
I'm not putting anybody on a moral plane. What I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. But there is another side. There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is.
Both sides, too. You said there was hatred, there was violence on both sides.
Well, I do think there's blame. Yes, I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either. And if you reported it accurately, you would say.
Nazis started this. They showed up in Charlottesville. They showed up in Charlottesville to protest.
Excuse me. They didn't put themselves down as the and you had some very bad people in that group.
Did you hear what he said? There were some very bad people in that group. I'll replay it.
And you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both.
So did you hear him? There were some bad people in that group, and there were some very fine people in that group. I'll replay it again.
Excuse me, they didn't put themselves down as the and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both.
So basically he said there were some bad people in that group, and there were some very fine people on both sides. And on the other side, there were also very bad people. So President Trump is not dividing this country from very fine people from very bad people in America. He wasn't saying that. He was referring to what happened in Charlottesville. And you know what this is getting to sound like? I think it's time to put that damn thing to rest. It's as worn out as this record. Enough is enough. Because I tell you, for every time, every continual time, they milk this thing to death, I will continue this thing about President Trump being divisive and dividing this country and saying there were good people on both sides. My God. And you're going to milk that to death. Because all I hear is yada, yada, yada. And what I'm hearing is... You're trapped in time, you people. You people are still trapped in 2017. I hate to break it to you. We're in 2020 right now. Stop dwelling in the past. Because that's all this is. You're a broken record. And this whole damn claim, false quote, is as worn out as this record. So let's stop it. I've heard other things about some other people saying, or he says, we need a leader that can get the country together. He's been doing that, sir. But you're in a bunker. You're in your own bubble, sir. With all due respect, sir, you're out of touch with reality. And so are so many other people, and I'm not calling them by party or anything, but there are some people in this country who have very bad listening skills. Now, am I dividing this country from people who have good listening skill to people who have bad listening skills? Perhaps. But that has nothing to do with identity, which is what they're claiming. Not so very good people. Let me tell you a little something about not very good people. I had finished watching this movie Left Behind. And apparently Jesus took all the good, righteous people to heaven, leaving all the what? Human people, people with faults, people who have good in them also. And believe me, there are a few good people in that group. The group that was left behind. This is all sociology. Okay. Sociology studies the behavior of a certain group. So you could say, Mr. Biden, that sociology students are committing the same crimes by dividing people. So you're just attacking the science of sociology. And all those who study sociology in school. So right now, you, Mr. Biden, have attacked me personally. So I should be as bad by studying the behavior of the group. You just attacked not President Trump, but many, many, many people who take sociology. And sociologists, thank you very much, Mr. Biden. Be sure you will never get my vote. Now, despite what Christianity teaches, there is no good and bad people. There's a heaven and there's a hell. All the good, righteous people go to heaven. All the bad people go to hell. Okay, Jewish teaching doesn't say that. There is no hell. Hell does not exist. And you know why hell doesn't exist? Because you cannot point to anybody and say that person is 100% evil. There is 0% goodness in that person. 0%. That nothing he does is good. Nothing. From the moment he wakes up in the morning to the moment he goes to sleep, he does not do a single thing that is good and righteous. You cannot say that. You cannot say it. It doesn't exist. And I read a passage in the Torah about, I guess, what was it, Sodom and Gomorrah? And God was about to destroy the city because of all the corruption and everything else. And Abraham stopped God, and Abraham said to God, God, if I find 50 righteous people in that city, will you still destroy that city? God said, if you could find 50 people, 50 righteous people, I will not destroy the city. Then Abraham said, okay, what if I find 25 people who are righteous? Will you still destroy the city? God said, for the sake of those 25 people, I will not destroy the city. And then Abraham said, what if I find 10 righteous people? Will you still destroy that city? God said, no, I will not destroy that city for the sake of 10 righteous people. And then Abraham said, God, what if I find one righteous person in that city? Will you still destroy that city? God said, no. I will not destroy the city for the sake of that one righteous person. Now, after I read that, I thought about it. And then I thought about also what I learned about how nobody is 100% evil and 0% good. And then it came to me. I came up with a midrash. And I presented that midrash to my rabbi. I said, Rabbi, I just came up with a drash about Abraham speaking to God about destroying the city. Rabbi said, I'd like to hear it. I said, okay. Let's say the city is metaphorically a single human being, and that the number of people is metaphoric for the percentage of that person. So when Abraham says, what if I find 50 people? It's as if he's saying, what if I find someone who is 50% good? Will you condemn that person for being 50% good? Will you condemn that person for even being 1% good and righteous? That's why I disagreed with the movie, the story of Left Behind. And this whole issue with what Biden is doing about dividing our country, oh, there's some not so very good people. Okay, let's, for argument's sake, take Biden's word on this. That there's 50 to 20% who are not very good people. In that percentage, can you find for me any of those people that have a single amount of good in them, no matter how small or insignificant, that these people, this 15 to 20%, is 100% evil? That every single person in that percentage is 100% evil, 0% good. Can you find that? And that's where I have a problem with what Biden just said. Now, this, of course, is more than my original intent was from the files of, did I miss something here? Because it's just, the thinking is all wrong. The view is all gone. The attitude is all wrong. We are Americans, and this is what President Trump was talking about. And yes, he was separating people. He was separating America from the punks to the punks who commit all this violence from the peaceful people. Is that so bad? Do you really want these violent people to blend in with our communities? Do you separate a bank robber from the rest of society? Do you separate a child molester from the rest of society? Do you separate abuser of women from the rest of society? If Biden really understood what he's talking about and what he's saying to what President Trump is saying, he has very, very bad. Biden has very, very bad listening skills and comprehension skills. Because that's not what Trump is doing. Trump has not been dividing this country. Mostly the media and Democrats and liberals are doing that with all of their identity politics. The black against the white against the black, the gay against the heterosexual, the woman against the man. All identity politics. You don't have enough, there should be no whites running for president. Who's doing the separating? Who's being divisive? When you, on your side, say the Democrat Party should have no white people. Who's being divisive now? When you in the Democrat Party say there are no white people or there are no people of color who win the Academy Award or anything. Who's being divisive now? Who's being divisive now? When you're pitting black against white, gay against straight, woman against man. Who's being divisive now? So what I have to say is, shut the hell up. And I have no desire to listen to what any Democrat has to say, what any liberal has to say, because it's all the same thing. If you want to stop the division in this country, look in the mirror and stop doing it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll see you later. Take care, guys.